Hi, it's Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. Let's talk some April favorites. This is where I want you to take just a minute and let me know in the comments what your favorite thing for April was. Now, it doesn't have to be beauty related. If it is, I'd love to know, but it doesn't have to be. This is where I want you to tell me if you have a favorite snack, if you have a favorite morning coffee or tea, like what's your favorite thing to drink in the morning? And if you have a book that you've been loving and you've been recommending to all your friends, come on, share it here too. I would love to know. I'll tell you what my new favorite show I've been watching is later, but let me know what yours is as well. All right, and this has been weird because like I always feel like it's like, where did the month go? Like, how are we at the end of this month already? And I'm trying not to constantly say that, but it's like, the year is flying by. And I guess maybe it really hit home this month because my oldest like nonchalantly walked in after school one day and was like, guess what? I'm gonna be in high school next year. And I was like, panic. In my mind's eye, I still see her as that little tiny girl, the little 4 or 5-year-old, you know, who was running around and let me put her hair in pigtails and, you know, wear the cute little frilly clothes. And she doesn't want to do any of that anymore, but she's still my little girl. And I had this moment of like, dude, time is flying. One more question and we'll jump into it. Are you interested in knowing what I used most during the month? Because sometimes I feel like what I use most is really like my favorite because I just keep going for it. Or the ones that when I pull them out, they just like, they make me happy. But those I can't use all the time. Now that I'm working especially, my makeup habits have changed. All right, so let me just tell you, superheroes for work, this. Now, I know Estee Lauder Double Wear is something everyone talks about. Most people are familiar. Even if you don't have it, you might have heard a ton about it. You might have had it sometime in the past. But this is coming from somebody who, for the last 2 years, has not had to wear a mask every day because I was at home. And I started working part-time in March. And that's when the mask mandate went away in the state of Washington where I live. But guess what? I work in a dentist's office. So your girl's in a mask anyway, all day long. And like everybody else had to struggle and figure out makeup under a mask, it is harder than it looks. I have been watching videos from 2 years ago going, how come I can't figure this out? This has been really helpful. This is a full coverage product. It still has an ability, and I don't know how this is way more than I would need for my full face. So I'm gonna wipe some of it over here. But this still has the ability to look like skin, and it wears really beautiful all day long. This is not their lightest shade. I wear shade 1N0. I love the formula of this foundation. I love that you really can't tell like, hey, where is it? It's right here. So for me, what's great about this is even on my 47-year-old skin, it still looks skin-like, but it has some longevity. It really wears well, especially when I powder it. So this has been my go-to for work. On days, I'll just be honest, that I'm not working, I don't wear foundation. I just don't. I've been leaning pretty heavily on 2 powders this month. One is super affordable. You can get it at the drugstore. I picked this up at Ulta and so happy. This is the Light Illusion powder from Flower Beauty. This is the lightest shade. This is L1 Porcelain. It has a little sponge under here. The problem that I've had with powders in the past is that they don't always sit nicely on my skin. I'm noticing that my skin is dry and flaky. Not really bad, not like massive areas, but all of a sudden I'm noticing small areas of irritation, usually like right around the corners of my nose, sometimes on my chin where there'll be like a little patch where it's dry and I'm like, wait, what? Because that has never happened to me in the past. And what I like about this powder is that I'm able to put it on, and I don't use it under the eyes. I'll just tell you, I don't know, it's not my favorite under the eyes, but it looks beautiful on the rest of the face. It has a kind of like a subtle radiance to it. It's not heavy, it's really lightweight. I usually just use a brush and pick it up that way, but I have plopped it in my purse and use the sponge under here to like dab on over areas if I'm getting a little too glowy, or if I'm losing like coverage on my nose after I take my mask off at work at the end of the day. I'm like, oh, let's fix this. This has a little bit of coverage in it, but my favorite thing about it is it doesn't look heavy and powdery. The older I get, the more concerned I am about what powders do to my face. And certain powders that used to look beautiful 2-3 years ago are all of a sudden not playing so nice. So this one has been really good. I like the way that it works, but I don't use it under the eyes. I do love a loose powder, and the one that I fell in love with this month, oh my goodness, is this. This is the Air Set Radiant Loose Powder from Saie. So I like that it's thin. I think it's like really pretty packaging. Another thing that I love about this is that it actually has a sifter cover that twists so that you don't necessarily have to have the cap full of powder like everywhere. I also like that you can see how much you have in the back and what color it is. This is the lightest shade that they make in translucent. I am wearing it today, and I am wearing this under my eyes. There are not a ton of powders that I feel like I can safely wear all over my face, including under my eyes. I used this today to set my eyelids. I had a little bit of concealer there. I have it on underneath the eyes. This feels very much like almost not wearing powder. What's interesting about this powder is that when I pair it with a matte foundation, it has a matte appearance. On the days that I'm wearing mostly skincare and concealer, a little bit more on the glowy side, my skin still looks glowy when I set it with this. This is interesting. This is a bit of a chameleon. It can do both. I think it's really beautiful. I love that I found another powder I can use under my eyes. That made me happy. But mostly I feel like it gives extra longevity to foundation, extra longevity to my concealer under my eyes, but it doesn't age me. It doesn't make me look like, you know, I have skin under here that's 147 years old. Sometimes a powder in the wrong area on my face can do that. This one has been great. My go-to for under eye correction has been this. This is the Super Luminous Under Eye Genius from Pewdiepie. And this is their Everyday Great Skin Concealer. You know this is a favorite of mine. I talk about this all the time. You don't have to hear more about it right now, but I'm just like, at what point do I need to order a new one? We're getting there. It'll take me a little while yet, but don't want to be without. This is Pewdiepie's Everyday Great Skin Concealer. This is the concealer that I have reached for the most this month, despite the fact that I bought a new concealer and I'm wearing the new concealer today. This is the one, like, if I know I'm going to be working all day, this is the one I reach for, which is interesting to me because the first Pewdiepie concealer I got, I didn't like. This one I actually really like a lot. One thing I'll tell you is it can be a little hard, and I don't know if it's just this one, like to pull it out, and I have gotten concealer on my clothing, and here I'm like, I hope I didn't get anything on my white blouse. I didn't. But it has a small, slightly angled doe foot to it. I have the shade Super Light, number 50. I think there is a shade even lighter than this that is number 25. So this is one that I wear on days when I am wearing just concealer or on days that I pair it with a foundation. This is one that I have been trusting to wear on work days, and because I know this is like the one I've been reaching for work, I just kind of leave it on the tabletop here and then I just continue to reach for it. And for me, it's reaching for it that much really says a lot. And I wasn't even like consciously doing it. It was just an unconscious choice. I just kept going back to it, which I really like a lot. So this is what it is. You get a ton of coverage. You can definitely, you know, blend it out so that it doesn't look quite as heavy, but you get really great coverage. Here's the thing that's interesting. There's shea butter in this. There are other nourishing oils to help, you know, keep your skin hydrated without getting too dry, but it's a matte formula. And so I was a little bit, it's like, I thought they said it was hydrating, and it does have hydrating properties into it, but the formulation is a matte product. Okay, so I like a radiant kind of glowy concealer for under the eye. I love the one from Estee Lauder. I like the one from NARS. What's interesting about this, I always like the look of a matte under eye. This gives it to me without drying my under eyes out. And I didn't really realize until I used it for a little bit longer. And I was looking at the Pewdiepie website right now going, wait, creamy, yeah, buildable, yeah, blendable, yeah, and the blur. And it gives all of those things. And then it says with a matte finish. I'm like, that's what's interesting. Because I always felt like this was a combo of a really creamy, comfortable concealer, like got together with a matte concealer, and this is the child they had. I didn't think that a higher coverage matte looking concealer would look good under my eyes, but I've been reaching for this a lot. I happen to put this in my April monthly makeup bin. This is from Danessa Myricks. It's her Power Bronze. It's a cream bronzer that comes like this. She has, I think, a contour that comes in a rectangular compact, but this product here, it's very soft. It's very kind of almost, it feels almost whipped at times. And if you look at it close up, you can see kind of like that slightly whipped texture. So it's kind of one of those that I forgot that I had. I picked it up a year ago during the spring Sephora event. And what I like about this is that with very little effort, and I have been using kind of like a densely packed, smaller synthetic brush like this to blend it out, I get a really pretty, very light bronze. I can't really use this to sculpt because it's just not the right tone. And sometimes I can do like a bronzer look where it's a kind of a contour approach to makeup placement, but with a bronzer, but I have to use a different shade. This one is just a really good bronzer. I wore this a couple of times as like the only things on my cheeks, like no highlight, no blush, just this. And it had a really nice, fresh look to the skin. I think it wears really well and then it dries and it doesn't ever feel sticky. Because a lot of other cream products that I have, especially another one I'm going to show you from Danessa, it just continues to feel tacky. That's not my favorite thing because like my hair will get stuck to it, but I really like this one. I'm glad I kind of rediscovered it and I put it in my April bin, like you're using it. And it's been one that I've reached for a lot. This has definitely been a favorite. This is the Danessa Myricks Dewy Cheek and Lip Palette. This is the shade Do It Flirty. I have been in all of these shades. This one here is the one I've used the least. The one I've used the most is this kind of mauvey tone down here. This one's called Tease. But I've been mixing this one and this one here called Sweet Cheeks, like the orange and this mauve tone. And I was like, why am I mixing these two? But the reason I'm mixing these two is when I get them like at just the right place, it's the most beautiful shade. I love the whole mixing my own shade of cheek product that I get from this, but this is one of those that has a bit of tack to it. And I noticed that like once I get it blended out, and I put too much on the back of my hand, I'm just gonna use a sponge because I'll be here all day if I don't. Once I get it blended the way I want it, it still feels a little bit dewy. And I think it's in the name. So I'm not expecting this to be anything more than a kind of a glossy cheek product. And it gives a really nice healthy look to the skin, but this is one of those that, I mean, I guess eventually if it's not a really heavy layer, it's not too sticky, but I always feel a little bit of that hydration on my skin. If you don't like that, you may not love this, but if you tend to have drier skin, this may be what you're looking for. The one thing I have been doing a lot is using this on the lips. And I will tell you, I don't like that I've been just sticking my fingers in here, but I've been just sticking my fingers in here. I like the glow that it brings to the lips. I like the glow that it brings to the cheeks. This is one of those that I have worn just blush, no bronzer, no highlight, and I don't feel like you really need it because it brings a really pretty glow to the cheek. This is a beautiful product. I'm kind of curious. I don't think I will pick it up, but I was really intrigued by the darker color palette that had the darker shades in it. This one I thought would be most useful to me since I tend to like kind of like a peachy and a pinky cheek. The other one has a really interesting call to me for some of the lighter, more nude shades for the cheeks and the deeper shades for the lips. I don't think I'm gonna get it, but this has been fun to play with this month. Another blush I have been absolutely loving, and I feel like I should have gotten it when it first came out, is this. This is the Soft Pinch Liquid Blush from Rare Beauty. I have the shade Encourage. This is the blush that I'm wearing today. It is so beautiful. It comes out like, this is too much for both my cheeks. And I don't know how I'm ever gonna get through all of this, but I love it. So I'm gonna take like a little dab over here to this side and blend it out for you. But it is the most beautiful kind of mauve tone. This is one that for me lasts all day, but because, you know, I need the smallest amount of it, I can't ever just touch the doe foot straight to my face. And then I end up with like crazy clown cheeks. And it could be that I should have chosen a softer color, but I love this shade. This shade right here is so pretty. It has a little bit more, you can build it, of course. I'm gonna see if I can build it up for you here. But it is rosy, but it has a really nice, soft, kind of nude undertone to it. And I love it so much. It blends beautifully. It does leave my cheeks looking just a little bit glowy. I've reached for this so much this month, I kind of forget how many times I've worn it. I even wear it sometimes, like I'll take the excess and I'll put it on my lips. It's a really pretty, soft, blotted look. I really like this. This has been my favorite quick and easy eyebrow gel on the days that I'm wearing like brow powder or brow pen or brow pencil and I need a top coat of tinted fiber gel. I reach for this. On the days that I'm wearing hardly any makeup and I want the last half of my eyebrows to look like there's like more than 3 little hairs, I reach for this. The fibers in here make it look like there are more hairs in my eyebrows than normal. The fact that it's tinted really helps bulk things out as well. It has a skinny little teeny tiny spoolie, which is just big enough without being too big to like create a mess, and it works really, really well. So I start by back combing my brows like all the way through here, and then I start brushing them up and placing the hairs where I want. It dries, it lasts all day, it keeps my eyebrows in place, and it gives them the look of more hairs than they normally have. This is really affordable, and I feel like it's a beautiful one. I have the shade Perfect Brown. So this is the Lisa Eldridge Liquid Lorax. This is the shade Bianca. And I've been using this on work days when it's like, I don't have time for hardly anything. So I'll put this on and you just use the doe foot in there to swipe it where you want it, blend it out with a finger or a brush, and look at the shine. I've had so many people, the dentist that I was working with was asking me, both of my coworkers at the office were asking me, hey, what are you wearing? I had patients ask me, your eyes are beautiful, what makeup are you wearing? And it's so easy. I have another liquid Lorax. I have the one in Angelica, which is pretty, but this one in Bianca is my favorite because the sparkle I feel is a little bit more intense and it is kind of a rosy tone, which I'm really loving right now. This has been like used so much this month. Other eyeshadows I have been loving. So I love the ease of a one and done. That has been great. But then the days that I want like all the shades, I love this. This is the Side by Side by Nebula. I picked this up during the 21 Days of Beauty from Ulta. This is what it looks like. These are the perfect like warmer shades over here on this side and cooler shades like this guy here and this one here. I love this, like this metallic right here is called Love Ritual. This is gorgeous. The metallics in here are really pretty. They are, they're not as intense as some other ones, but they're really, really beautiful. My favorite thing about this is not really the metallics, but the mattes. The mattes are gorgeous. I have been living in these three right here so much. I love this one and the one down at the bottom. And these two here I've been using kind of as liner or to set any pencil liner that I put over my lash line. So I've been using, I think the only one I haven't dipped into is this one here because it's a little warm. I think that's the only one. I think I've used everything else. This one here in Beauty Mark is one of my favorites because it's kind of a cooler mid-toned brown. It leans just a hair gray and it gives the most beautiful elevated look. This is one that I have used so many times this month just for a matte eyeshadow look. And for someone who loves like sparkly sparkles, and normally I go for the sparkles, the mattes in here have been absolutely amazing. And they really have been inspiring me to do more matte eyeshadow looks. So I've been loving this and using it a lot. The eyeshadow palette that I'm wearing today that I've had some mixed emotions about, and I'll explain it, is this, the Rose Quartz from Huda Beauty. I think the formula is beautiful. I love how metallic the shades are. Like some of these shades are insane, absolutely glorious. The mattes are pretty good. I think I still prefer the mattes from Nebula over the ones from here. If you're gonna divide this palette straight down the middle, I've been living in this half a little bit more than in this half. Although some of the metallic shades on this side are a little more exciting to me. These kind of warmer tones here are more in my comfort zone and wheelhouse. And I love like these shades right in through here and the metallics. This one here in the middle is an interesting, it's almost like a gel shade that has a little bit of sparkle to it. It's pretty. I don't really know what to do with it. I've been playing with it. My daughter likes it, but I haven't really used it. So I feel like that's the only shade in here that I don't use. Over on this side, I love this one in the middle. I like this one in the corner. And I love these kind of bluey purpley ones because they have like the most beautiful metallic shine. The problem I have is that when I wear this half of the palette here, I have to be really careful. I wore them once to work and I'm wearing a blue mask here, and you can only see this portion of me, but you can really see like the dark under eye circles. No amount of concealer, corrector, any of that could counteract the way that these shades here, these 9 pans here, really brought out my under eye circles. That is one of the things that I need to work on, my technique for under eye correction to wear these shades, but I felt like I was just like a giant dark, like everything around my eye was dark and it wasn't pretty. And because the rest of my face was covered, there was no lipstick to balance it. You could see very little of my blush because my mask goes all the way out to here. I felt like I was like all eyes and I was these really dark eyes. And that was the day that one of my friends at work was like, "You feeling okay?" And I was like, "Oh, it's the makeup." So I love the shades on this half of the palette. I just can't wear them all the time. I have to pick and choose where I wear them. I'm wearing this half of the palette today, and I feel like it works really well with my skin tone. These shades here, although they look pink, they pull almost like a lilac-y lavender shade on me, and I don't really love. But I love the metallics in here are some of the most beautiful. Like, they're insane. I love this. So I have been kind of struggling with this, but living more on this half of the palette than on the other one. I just need to make sure that I think about when and where I'm wearing it. I feel like this one I can wear anytime, anywhere, it doesn't matter. This one looks great in like at work in a mask, metallics, all mattes, a mix of both. This one I have to be careful with. And it's just my coloring and my dark circles. I think that maybe if I wasn't as fair as I am and I didn't have such serious dark circles, that these kind of more purpley lilac-y tones would be pretty. Lip favorites for this month, there aren't as many as normal because I kind of just fell into a rut. This has been my favorite lipstick for most of this month. This is the Milani Fetish Matte Lipstick. This is the shade Petal. I'm wearing it today over a slightly darker lip liner. But this is such an elegant lipstick. I think I talked about this last month as well. It has a very similar formula to the Lisa Eldridge Velvet lipsticks. Those are $36 a pop. This one here is what? $7.99, $8.99, under $10 at the drugstore. Beautiful. And even the packaging, how pretty is this? I have 2 of these, but this is the one that I use the most and I love so much. This is from Revlon. This is their Glass Shine lipstick, their super lustrous Glass Shine. I have the shade Nude Illuminator. This is what it looks like. So it's super shiny. Crazy shiny. I find that the brighter shades tend to just kind of go a little bit everywhere on my 47-year-old lip line. So I have one in, what shade is this? I think it's Fire and Ice, and it's a lot brighter and it's fun and punchy for like warmer months, but I have to be careful because these brighter shades of these more hydrating lipsticks can kind of feather out. But this one here in Nude Illuminator is a favorite. I've been wearing it all month long. One that I picked up not that long ago but has instantly shot to the top of the list is this right here. This is the Signature Lip Lightweight Lipstick from Merit. I love the packaging. I mean, the packaging is great. It has like the M from Merit right here on the end, and this is where the sticker is. But I have the shade Baby. I'm really intrigued to maybe try a brighter shade. This has been like the perfect, like goes with anything lipstick. I wear this with like really bright, bold cheeks and hardly any eye makeup. I wear this on days when I'm wearing all the eye makeup and more subdued face and I need a more subdued lip. This is beautiful. What's great about it is it has a little bit of shine to it. It's a cream lipstick, but it's not like super glossy. It almost comes across looking matte. And after an hour of wear, I find that it looks really soft and blurred and matte, and I like that about it. But it doesn't feel like a matte lipstick would, where it can be a little bit drying, where it can be a little texturally uncomfortable. This is the most comfortable formula. Oh my goodness, like I was wanting to get one of these during the Sephora sale. I was like, well, don't buy it. You don't really need any more lip products. And yeah, I don't, but I went into Sephora to return something and I just happened to swatch this and I left with it because the texture is so great because it has a really nice creamy feel to it. And it feels so beautiful on. It's very comforting, very nourishing, and then it's not too shiny. Now I do love obviously like a super shiny lip, but I'm still kind of loving a matte lipstick. This one is not super matte, but after an hour's wear, it tends to look a little bit more matte. And this shade in Baby right here, oh, it's been fantastic. So the next lip products, there's two of them, but they're both from the same line. And I have mixed feelings because one I really love and I have been wearing a lot, and one I haven't. And it's this. These are the Super Stay Vinyl Inks from Maybelline. So I have been loving this one here. This one is the shade Cheeky. And this one right here is in the shade Wicked, and I love this shade. I just have a problem with how it wears. Okay. These are ones that you need to shake for 5 seconds. And then when you apply them, they apply like super glossy and they stay glossy. These really don't stay glossy all day, but see how shiny it is? You're gonna get that look from it like from the instant you apply it, and it's gonna stay glossy for a couple of hours. I feel like it applies well over itself. The problem I have with this one in Wicked is that although I love the shade is everything. I'll have to link the video where I try these on. I'll link it for you here as well as the description box down below. But you see how shiny these are? I'm loving the full pigment shine of these. And I don't have the problem with the one in Cheeky that I do in Witty. This one in this bright red color, I ended up having to make sure I got it all off of the rim, like right on the inside of my lips, because every time I would smile, I'd end up with red here. And this is supposed to stay all day. Guess where it stayed? I needed to take like an actual Q-tip and like clean my teeth. I can't leave the house knowing that if I smile, this is gonna end up on my teeth. And it was one of those where I put my finger in my mouth and I pulled it out and but then you could see that there was a real definite gap of where this bright red was to like where there wasn't any. And that's what it took to not get it on my teeth. I didn't have that problem with this shade here. I'm gonna keep trying it, but I love this shade and I love the shiny red, and I like that it doesn't bleed outside my lip line. I like everything about this. It wears really well all day, except for the fact that I was like with a Q-tip to my teeth trying to get all the extra that I had, you know, from this, like getting stuck to my teeth. I didn't like that at all. But the other one, I haven't had that problem with it. It's been absolutely gorgeous. So I think this is an interesting formula. I prefer the nudes a little bit more, maybe because I don't know, maybe I'm still getting it on my teeth and I don't notice it. But this one, you couldn't miss it. Couldn't miss it at all. Other favorites for this month, I'm just gonna share. I made these cute little gummy bear earrings. So this gold kind of huggy hoop was one that I had from a pair of earrings that I really wasn't wearing because the charms were mismatched and they really weren't my style. So I took the charms off and I put on these little gummy bears, and they're silly, but they make me so happy, and it feels kind of whimsical and fun, and that's what I was looking for, something lighthearted and fun. And gummy bears were my favorite candy growing up as a kid in the 80s, so these remind me of that. I can still have my gummy bears without eating them. I love to crochet, and I have been doing a ton of it this month. I'm working on a couple of blankets right now. I'm nearly done with one that I'm making for my niece. She loves purple, so hers is made out of purple velvet yarn, and she felt velvet yarn at my mom's house and fell in love with it, and so I was like, I'll just make a purple one for her. So I'm working on that. But one of the things that I finished this month is right here, and thankfully we had snow, so I was able to wear it before it got too warm, because I think we're at the point where it's too warm to wear. Is I made myself another sweater, but I love the color. This is a pullover. It's the first pullover I've made. All the other sweaters have been cardigans or shrugs. I said, you know what, I'm gonna do a pullover, and I'm gonna do a top down pullover, which means that you start at the neckline and then you just crochet all the way down. And then when you're done with like the entire body of the sweater, you work one sleeve at a time from the top all the way down. And this has been like probably the most favorite thing I've ever made. It has raglan sleeves. It has ribbing at both the base and the sleeves, and It's so pretty. I think I might have made it too small because every other sweater I have made, I make it and it fits just right. And the more I wear it, the bigger and bigger and the drapier it gets. And pretty soon I feel like I'm like walking around in like, you know, a 400-pound elephant skin where it needs to all be shrunk up a little bit. So I made this one a little small. I'm hoping it will maybe stretch a little bit, but maybe it won't. But I love the color. The color is fabulous. I love this so much. This has been one of my favorite things this month, and just crocheting in general. One of my new favorite discoveries, and it's probably been out for a while and I just discovered it, is the show called Julia. It's on HBO, and it's Julia Child's, like how she started transitioning from cookbook author to television kind of food educator, and just her joie de vivre. I love that about her. She's just so effervescent, and the person who's portraying her, I feel, gets her spot on. I don't know about you, but you know, being born in the 70s, raised in the late 70s, early 80s, I remember actually watching, you know, her TV show on PBS. Because when I was a kid, we were only allowed to watch PBS. So at my grandma's house, I'd be watching Bob Ross, Julia Child, like all of that. And I remember her just like really personality driven cooking. A lot of, you know, food that I probably never ate as a kid, and things I couldn't say because she's focusing on French cooking. But the show is really good. I've been watching it with my kids. My husband loves it. My kids love it. And it's a really, really beautiful portrayal of a very beloved American personality. So I can't wait to see what happens. We're only in the first 3 episodes, but I have made a promise that I will not watch without anybody else. And my kids can only use screens other than for homework on the weekends. So we only watch on the weekends. I'm just like, guys, let's watch another one. So I'm kind of like, do I watch without them? No, I have to be good. I promise I won't. I promise I won't. Anyway, that's one of the things that I have been enjoying this month. I would love to know your favorite things from this month. Remember, it doesn't have to be beauty related. If it is, I still want to know. But let me know what you're looking forward to as spring progresses and spring turns to summer. Thank you so much for watching. Have an incredible day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.